All right, here we go again. Buckle up, rough roads ahead. Well, the Lord has said that the plagues will start this morning. You're too tardy in getting me my money. And there was a PSYOP launched and inferences projected, and I read it because I can read what you're doing. So they're projecting that I should commit some crime to get the money. I'm not going to commit crimes. I should do something violent or something rash to get the money. I'm not going to do that, but God will do it. But now I know what you did to the other people, even more so. I even saw it clear. So again, the plagues are going to keep going. They're not like the other times you made me believe life was coming for me. You just did it again. If God gets into you, God gets that chance. Remember, this is not God's planet, and it's in the scriptures on how it works and how God can have power here. God is destroying this planet because God has no power, no money, no way to help the people that. Oh well, there's something again. They think they're funny. The phone and the microphone had an issue. See if I can get this all realigned. Oh, wait, let me see if this microphone is up and on. Yeah, there it is. So, look, I realize there's FBI agents and DOJ people that are getting caught up in this that did me, have me psychologically tortured, have me physically disabled with those efforts of spies and investigators and other corrupt such people. Attorneys, they leave the government and they go into governance in Walmart, that kind of thing. But there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. Because what you're doing is some of those people might be innocent. Right. So anybody that's worked in government knows that you do your job and that's what you have to do. Right. FBI is a very difficult job to do, but there's a lot of corrupt people and a lot of evil people too. So I'm not making an excuse. So because you have to do things like I left the government, I made that choice. Right. That I wasn't going to, just do something evil. Right. Because they tell you to you may sit there and have to work on a case that you don't want to work on, but you know usually the weird part is it takes a lot, like when they indoctrinate everybody in, it's after they've been in a while, a little bit, because what they want you to do is say, well, what am I going to do, where am I going to work, I got this money, I get good enough money, I carry a gun, I have a good life, I have protection of somewhat protection of government to have a good life, but it's not worth it. It's evil. A lot of it's evil. But again, that's something to be judged in the afterlife. Right. So again, I'm receiving extreme projections. I did sleep. Thank you for anybody that's healed me and prayed for me. I don't know who knows I exist and who doesn't. Okay. So at this point, it could be a scam to make me believe that people know I exist. I'm not mad at people trying to maybe signal me. Right. But again, how do I know it isn't like three H1B spies from India work for X putting those tweets out there, those posts out there? Right. Thank you, Larry. So again, it's a very simple process. It's a very simple process to get the money. The problem is that my brother says, well, why don't you contact your congressman? I said, well, I don't know if that's the route I need to take, but I said, it's Charisse, and Donald Trump's in there, and I'm helping Trump, so I don't know if they're going to help me. Right. So what they're doing is they're also sending the idea, well, just break your lease and charge it if you have to, and we'll get your money to you eventually. That's definitely like a couple FBI people, a couple CIA people, some of these PIs. Right. But what I can see is, and you should understand this, and the president should understand this, that they're using psychological operation to psychologically force people to commit crimes. Yeah. And they're making their life desperate. I'm pretty desperate right now, but I'm not dangerous. Right. I need out of this apartment. It's making me sick. Right. And the weather is such where I don't even feel like going outside. But your plan to make me homeless doesn't work because I just not you screwed my health in the midst of it, and my health isn't well enough for me to be homeless. Right. I imagine some people do it. Now what happened is my left side of my body straightened out, and now my right side's too tight. Right. So again, I need a corticosteroid treatment. A lot of that may even take care of some of the allergies. But I just need to get me my money so I can get settled somewhere. Well, you really do. This should have been stopped a long time ago. You wouldn't even stop it, and you were encouraging people to do it. They're putting all these people in to attack me. Again, they're going to say I'm paranoid. You better take care of it because God will react. What they gamble is that God won't get them. And if it got somebody they worked with, they just go, well, it's Larry's fault. It's not God, supposedly. Right. Years ago, the right side of my body in Indianapolis got so tight that it crunched my ears and stuff. Right. I mean, it's not that tight, but corticosteroid took care of it. So there's a lot of spots to look at on my body. I probably should have had several corticosteroid treatments over the last so many years while they were, doing my head dirty. Right. Oh my God. Thank you, Larry. I'm telling you right now, it's a simple process. If you're not going to do it, then you'll go to hell, all of you, here on this planet in the near future. Just a fact of life, all of you. People like me, like I said, I move into a community. The cops say, hey, because if somebody says, hey, look out for Larry. He used to work for us and work with us. Right. But they did the reverse. I'm not stupid. It's not about me, all of you. Right. Nah, if it loosens, it's fine. It's not going to trigger anything else. Right. Because I've had it where both of them are loose. Right. It's just, again, I had it happen years ago, and I was on the right side. For the first time I ever noticed it, and right when it settled down, it was great. I was great. Right. I got a corticosteroid shot. I think he may have put it up in the TMJ or something, but I don't know if I need that. So again, like I said, I probably need, just to begin with, the epidural. Right. And then, maybe select steroid shots while receiving massage. I probably should have had this plan years ago. Right. But you need to get the money to me. You really do. I should have been paid a long time ago. Right. In fact, my idea is truth, and it says truth, which is my stuff also. Not only is look, it's, you have to understand something. You pay me my money. Don't try to make it about something else. And when I say you're going to go to hell, I'm not talking to Donald Trump. I'm just talking to the people that are doing this. Right. But it could be about Donald Trump. It could affect Donald Trump. Again, it's God and a bunch of angels of vengeance. That's what that plane and helicopter crash are. Right. That's what some of your decisions are. I'm trying to help you understand. You're making the wrong decisions, all of you. You'll be blinded and you'll make all the wrong decisions. The economy will crash no matter what I tell you to do. Not because it's going to crash because I say it, tell you what to do, like I'm sabotaging it, because that's what they'll say it is. It'll crash because God crashes. Enough's enough. They're still psyoping. That's the crazy part. They're still psyoping me. So again, let it be known that people are committing crimes out there after being tortured for extended period of times. This is how these fucking people live. That's how that filthy guy in New Mexico lives. It was part of that Home Depot operation, the one that walked next to me like he was going to knock me over. He's going out there and tearing up a person's health, life, psychology just to get them to commit a crime. Get that money to me today. Again, I'm going to tell you like that every day. There's going to be no reprieve. They're laughing because I'm not going to massage and I'm not going to get my corticosteroid, but I'm on hold for whatever reason. They think it's funny because I'm ordering food in. Like, we're winning. They're stalking me. I mean, they're cloaked and all that. That's what the law enforcement people did. They developed like CIA level apps and software for them to harass the world and stalk the world and get rich quick, doing nothing but harming people. And then telling you it's bail reform. Whew. Yeah. I need that money. I've told you it. Enough. No, it's not enough. They're trying to speak through me. You'll all go to hell. You know you're at risk of going into court and having everything shut down. Send me my money, or at least a communication explaining how you're going to do it. Now, I'm not extorting you, all of you. You extorted me for life, so I wouldn't say anything about what you were doing to me. Stealing my information and my ideas and getting rich off of it. Or getting powerful off of it. No, you have enough money, you have enough power to get me my money today. If you can sit there and do that to me for 30 years, then you can get me my money today. There is no court process. There is nothing. You go to VA, you pull my file, and I don't even know what's in there at this point. Like I said, there's stuff missing from 2013. But if they hadn't tortured me, if they hadn't been allowed to torture me, I could have taken care of that. And they knew it. These are real plagues that will start. And this is probably going to be the doozy of the plagues. Every presidency, it got worse and worse. I have to say that I guess Biden didn't have it that bad, but we don't know the end result of these investigations. Agreed, sir. It's very simple. I made complaints about corruption in the VA enough that somebody should have did something. The VA is corrupt. It's part of the deep state. That's how they make their payments sometimes. You're part of the deep state, you go to the VA, you get 100% disability in a second. Right. Then when they ask you to attack Larry, you go and attack Larry. That's how the world's wired, man. That's why we had so much trouble. There's Republicans that are part of it. You have to get away from me. You have to get these people out of my life. I know they're here. I know they're projecting, even if they're in DC watching me. So I had 2 pieces of sleep. I had like a 3 hour and a 2 hour. So 5 hours is generally enough for me. I'd like to get it up to 8, but I'm really sick here. I have to get out of this apartment. Right. Somehow they got me in a trick bag here. And this is 2 years in Kansas alone of being harassed by law enforcement officers, PIs, and whoever else they could find. Thank you, Larry. So again, do I really care that you're having discomfort in FBI and CIA? No. Or any other agency? No. But there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. And if you do it the wrong way, it's going to encumber all the other operations we're engaging in to help the world. Right. As far as getting rid of narcotics at the level that it is. Again, so like Elon, he's like attacking this thing that he has to get to 2 trillion gone by next month. Right. Which is okay, but if we do that, we're never going to get anywhere. We'd be overwhelmed by trying to get a result. Right. So what we need to do is focus on, like obliterating cartels or obliterating. It's possible. Obviously, look what happened in El Salvador. Right. But as far as narcotics and these things, reducing it to maybe where it was, 20 years ago, which was a lot less. Right. So again, these are the ways that we are able to, psychologically digest and prepare a vision to get to the next, benchmark. Right. Thank you. Because even if we got rid of the cartels, there's still going to be narcotics in the United States. Right. However, we should focus our system on people that are addicted. This is the next piece that I've given before, but the people that are addicted need to be moved to mandatory inpatient treatment. Like instead of putting them in jail, which the reason I say that, because you would think, well, I'll just put them in jail for 6 months to a year and they'll go dry. Well, number one, we don't know if the jail is dry to begin with. Right. There could be drugs in the jail, and it probably is. Correct. Especially now that people, like when people used to smoke a lot of marijuana, it gives off an odor. Right. But these pills, they just take a pill and they're easy to secrete. They're easy to smuggle in. They're easy. You can catch people with them, but it's not as easy. Right. And we even have people that know how to make the pills now. Right. They make the counterfeit. So what you need to focus on is the people that are addicted. The judges need to start sentencing, and even the government, I guess they could write an agreement in the agreements. Right. You could write, if you defer a charge or something, that they go to the rehab and they have to successfully complete the rehab. Right. Well, putting them in jail may be sometimes the worst thing you can do, because they got pills and drugs in the jail, and right, they really don't go dry. There's some barter system in there, or even they might have some cash they can get to and have it sent to their accounts, right, or pay somebody on the outside. It could go between. Correct, Larry. And we have to make sure our rehabs are the correct rehabs, that they're actually, first, not run by a narcotics distributor. Second, we got to make sure there's some sort of modern technology, not just some, mundane system. We want to motivate these people straight. We have to jar them awake. I don't want to hurt them, but right. I'm losing another thought I had around that. What was got them to rehab? Oh yeah, the rehab system has to be built like our criminal justice system. They have backup time and everything. They go on a parole or a probation. They get off for good time. They get some. Get off early for good time, but it has to be long enough that it works. God bless you, sir. God bless you, sir. So again, if they violate their terms, which means this, they have outpatient commitments. So we're not just going to let them return to that. And one of the issues is if they're unhoused, then we start having other issues. So again, a lot of times, in LA, they're combining. I know you hate that mayor, but she's done a great job at. They probably should have helped me. The Democrats should have helped me. So God's not too happy with him. Right. So you get bad luck and you lose God's protection when you take advantage of my help and not helping me. Right. Thank you, Mary. So she'll house them, put them, because that's how it works. If you don't have something like a rehab program working with the housing, then they're not. And we don't want bullshit rehab. I know cops are going rehab. A real rehab, and again, inpatient rehab, which means this. Again, bean counter Elon's in the way, but we actually have to build rehab, almost like rehab jails. But the idea is to try to lessen it. Like there's a benefit in going there than it is to jail. Right. You go like the Missouri approach kind of thing. It's more of a gentleman's course. I guess that's not right to say that because now we don't say that. I guess a gentleman and ladies course would be a way to say it, right? Where you actually it's like not like a college camp, but more like a campus. But it has security features, right? So if they don't do the right thing there, then they end up in a jail, and the jail is not as nice, right? So there has to be, again, that's part of thinking our way through these programs because there's an incentive. I was in this condition before, and I went to massages, and it wasn't very easy. I needed steroid to actually have it work. So, but I don't want to get into a situation where I have to go, have somebody drive me, right? And then it's like almost going to general surgery. Right? There's people out there that like laugh at that because what they're doing is they're billing your insurance company for all the extra stuff, so you make more money. So some of the doctors laugh because they have the regular system, like the old system. You go to their office, they give you anesthesia, they do the thing, and then you go home. Right. I was just hit with way too much anesthesia. I don't want to, that was horrible. So again, I'm going to tell you again and again to pay me my money. I need it to get out of here. I need to get, into a rock situation. Right. For the full 2 years I was here in Kansas, there was corruption in the government and corruption in private sector, most likely like the Weinstein operators, just constantly attacking me. Right. But again, they've done that to me for 20 or 30 years, probably 30 years. So I guess, people in government, they have their system and, it's corruption. That's really what it is. I mean, it's just amazing. That's 2 years in, and I've been attacked the entire time by deep state forces here. Again, when I say deep state, I'm not Alex Jones, okay? I mean, Alex Jones is bullshitting all day on his page. Well, again, if Elon sounds like that and Trump sounds like that because, they're being indoctrinated to post bullshit, your credibility is gone. You can't be Alex Jones in the government. And Elon's in the government. Wake up. I mean, it's on again, off again on Elon in the government. The court's going to destroy that. Because there's a reality of what's going on. It's a reality of what the statement of facts of what's happening and what's right. If Donald Trump If it appears Elon's making the decisions, you can say Donald Trump, the buck stops here all you like. But if they'll say he's rubber stamping. Right. And if you make one situation where he's not, so the public can see it because that's your psyop, I mean, that may even piss the judges off further. Right. Now, my right side tightened up while I was sleeping. And again, a lot of times it could be tension, it could be allergy attacks, it could be a lot of different things working to cause this. Right. Again, you give me my money, the stress reduces. Right. Now I can hire some people to help me with getting out of this apartment. When it comes to VA, I only have like 30% or something disability. If you give me 100%, I get, all that goes along with that. That should have been. Again, I went through the psychology of how this all happened. But I also went through and told you that I should have had Desert Storm, Persian Gulf illness, right? Presumption. It was in the law, right? They actually renewed it. They renewed it right when I was trying to appeal my thing, but I was so sick I couldn't get to it. Like I said, I wish I could have been awake enough to continue treatment. I mean, I was being beat up by Aurora Sheriff's Department and the Aurora PD and shit. I'm broadcasting. You're reversing it. I'm broadcasting because what you did and what you're doing, all of you. You're not doing it because I'm broadcasting. Great. Thank you, Larry. And anyway, I helped the government. This thing started, I was just helping put, like, the PDs. That's pretty much my focus. When I started the broadcast, I was just, giving PDs some ideas, but also it was under Obama when he was being unfair to the police departments. I did the same thing for the Border Patrol before I broadcasted. I was trying to get their people out of jail with the other people that were doing it. Also, there's an attorney and a bunch of people online, and we just kept lobbying. And again, we have power inside. Right. Thank you, Larry. So I started this, was helping the people in, I think, even Oklahoma, in Tulsa, with the case with that guy that they shot. Right. So again, I always start it by saying anything I say that we can do different. Again, I was also giving them the legal pointers to it and the defenses and everything. Now, I don't know what they saw. Right. The world may have been blocked from it because that's how corrupt the government is. Right. Now, I know back when I did I believe back when I did the Border Patrol stuff that people saw it. Right. I forget all the stuff that I put there. Oh, again, the idea is the perimeter, and I said, one of the things I said is the only thing, again, I did like a tactical analysis is how could we legally stay legally safe and effectuate this thing the way they want. Because people got put in jail because you didn't listen to me. Right. But then people got in jail because they did what I told them to do. So again, somebody's playing a game with all of you. Right. Eventually they, like Uvalde, or I didn't get put in jail, they got fired. But Uvalde the idea is you wait for the larger task force to come. So you're training like two separate things. But the idea was because it was a person with a psychological disorder. So again, essentially, what they were using to charge those officers, if those officers had waited and just built a perimeter, they couldn't have charged them at least the way they charged them. Right. They ended up shooting somebody who had a psychological issue, and it's just bad optics and all that. And again, anything you can figure out, hindsight being 20/20. Again, we also have to rule our own a certain way. And again, I try to do it outside of going to prison. Right. But again, you all became very, very corrupt. And you have to lose that edge. You have to free yourselves from the bullshit. Right. I even believe Slater or Slager, whatever his name is, with the taser where he shot the guy that stole his taser. That was a little bit too much to expect an officer to operate. And I mean, he supposedly lied on the reports. I don't know if he lied or had psychological disruptions. I mean, you go to any report that an officer writes, and you'll find variances even in the officers' reports. Like there's 3 officers at the same scene. They write the report, and there's a little bit of inconsistency because, again, under stress. Thank you for your work. So it's very simple. Maybe the Lord, figured He'd build this thing so you could pay me. There is a presumption in the law. There definitely was there when I applied for this, and they actually did renew it. But I guess it might need to be renewed again, or it's I don't even know how many years they renewed it for. That somebody that was in the Persian Gulf during that war has the Persian Gulf illness syndrome, or whatever they call it, Persian Gulf War syndrome. It's a presumption, which means the doctor can't. If there's a presumption by law, again, this is the doctor in VA not doing what the Senate and the House and the president's intention are. Again, somebody signed it, either Trump or I think it was Trump. I think it was the end of the Trump presidency. So what's going on is VA is not effectuating not only the word of that law, the spirit of the law. He's not doing anything with it. Right? It's just out there. Like, to me, it was torture. Because after they turned me down, then they renewed it. And maybe that's how it got renewed. Ha, 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 ha. Right. If you were deep state, we'd have given you your Persian Gulf disability. Thank you, Larry. But essentially, the doctor says, F you, Senate, House, and President. This guy's not getting his Gulf War illness 100% disability. That's what happened. It happened not once, but twice. The first time they said there was nothing in the file. And I know for sure that guy put that in that file. I sat before him while he did the stuff. Now, I didn't look at the whole package. Right. I was in Naples, Florida. I went to the county representative. I told him I'm sure I'm going to get better, but it's happening and then going away, happening and going away. Right. And he said, yeah, that's what happens with it. I mean, it's all there. So again, if they'd have given me my 100% disability back then, my whole life would have been different. I'd have went somewhere and been more secure. I might even, at that point, still had the opportunity to buy a house. Thank you, Mark. And then when I tried to buy a house, the deep state would just psyop me. Again, they'll try to say, did we say no? Did we stand before you? This is CIA-level psychology against a lone man that's been tortured by the same group of people for decades. Like, I'm not. They think it's funny, but I'm not even embarrassed that I can't make it to places and couldn't make it to places because I did better than most people, most likely. So again, you need to get me my money. I mean, it's a scam. They drug you and operate you, and then you go, get disability, a psychological disability, and they say he's just crazy. He's just crazy, while they continue to torture you for the rest of your life. No, I was well. I was well within a reasonable shorter period of time. It took a little bit to get there, but I was well. Right. Right. I mean, these people are sitting in lives, they're still making millions of dollars, I mean, in investments and retirement jobs and government contracts. Like some of those, I know some of those people in USAID, it's deep state. They probably don't even meet the requirements of the contract. Nobody cares. So what I'm saying to Elon, if you don't get Elon to calm down and focus, right, which I think he's admitted that's one of his problems, right, he's going to ruin the court record, and he's going to burn himself and get prosecuted one day, because there's agents that stood between his prosecution, or stood in front of his prosecution and wouldn't complete the case. Right. Right. And you're dissing him right now. Could be somebody that even investigated that stuff. Right. I mean, it's really weird because, I don't know if you use the word loyalty test, or they say you hinted at loyalty test, but based upon what you're saying, that people shouldn't actually be loyal. Right. They should be political. See? So how would you like if somebody doesn't prosecute your cases? That Bondi takes the case to the FBI and they don't investigate them, they don't make it so they can prosecute. How do you like that happen? So what you're actually saying is, let's tear down the system further, but it can come against you. Right. So again, that's why I told you to let it go, because it's retaliation. I mean, there's nothing else you can say, and I'm sure you were triggered to do that by somebody. I was saying that even before you went in. Right. I mean, you did it about the worst way you could do it, because you lumped them all together. You didn't even ask a question about each one. Now you're kind of doing it, but right. But that's not how the court works. The court has the right. So then it gets to the point, well, you're just covering. Are you trying to cover up and right? So again, you need to do it, all of you, and you need to do it soon. There's no need for my neurological issues to be here today. The people I speak about did it. The VA is also part of it, because the VA is deep state. Get me my money now. And maybe you're having trouble because I don't know what's going on in the government. I don't know what your real stance about me is. Because what they do is they make it look like everybody knows I exist. That's like the next thing that happens. And you may be happening, but it's not happening independent of somebody who may be trying to dupe me another year or two. I mean, I'm asking myself, why did Putin why did Russians put naked pictures of Melania out there? Could be because you lost your protection of God because you're planning to work against me. I mean, again, I'm not telling people to do that, but that's how that works. So again, it's not a hard thing to do. You go to VA, you pull my file. If you know who I am, you know what's going on, and you give me my Persian Gulf War Syndrome payment. I mean, you're spending millions of dollars for studies to make mice gay and shit. I don't even know if it's real. It sounds so ludicrous. I mean, because it could just be an intelligence payment or something. Right. So generally, and I'm hoping it does this today, because I'm not feeling too well, that by later on in the day, I'll feel better. Right. But again, once I got my corticosteroid shots, I could sleep. Everything would go a little bit better. Again, they're psychologically torturing, and they're torturing their victim. And that can cause the body to tighten up just naturally. They're sick people. And some of them are dead. Some met pretty bad ends. But then again, some of them blame me for that. So again, your psychological torture is going to backfire because it just did this morning. It's not going to happen the way it did last time. I'm not going to attack the Trump administration. I'm not going to attack the Biden administration, right? Because that was partly an investigation and something else. Right? So again, the same people who the first administration made me believe that you were going to help me are probably doing the same thing now. And you do have an obligation to help me at this point. And probably had so the last time, almost absolutely. Or not almost absolutely. So again, their will is trying to shift what I say. And then they laugh. Almost absolutely. The next time, we hope he will forget to say that. Whammy, 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 whammy. So it's easy for me to figure out my right side's too tight right now. But again, I spent like 6 months, so even more than that. I think, I can't even remember how many months. Probably like 7, 8 months sick. And maybe it's a little less than that, I guess. Somewhere around there, 6, 7 months sick in Indianapolis till I got back to Naples and got my corticosteroid shot. And then it was, over a period of time, I was well again. Now, why I couldn't remember stuff like that, I mean, I did get a corticosteroid treatment in Tyler, Texas, but when the deep states are around, I didn't even think about it. I may have just got a light dose because they were like, somebody interfered. I mean, they are in medical facilities, and they've already showed me that, okay? They've already showed me that they're in medical facilities. Especially in the ones that, they have a long enough time to put an operator in. Might just be somebody answering the phones. Could be the doctor. That's why the planet's being destroyed. But, I don't know why they don't put two in. Like, they think, well, I'm going to be out of here before the planet's destroyed. But I don't know why they don't put 2 and 2 together and come up with the right answer for. Well, don't you think God's going to send you to hell, all of you? Thank you, Larry. So again, you can read a lot of religious texts and think that you're okay, but you're not really reading the religious texts right, all of you. Well, like mercy. Mercy means mercy. You read Islamic texts, you can see the word mercy. I mean, grace means grace, and right, what you judge, the down person, the up person's in the scriptures. So what happens is a lot of Islamic people went to hell because they didn't have. It's the same thing. By what judgment you judge, it's in the Quran. So really, the Quran expects you to do that next step and have mercy. So you can obliterate all of the Quran, not obliterate, but blot out all of that stuff in the Quran, like what you have to do, and if you do one thing, if you have mercy. That's a form of haya. Because you're modest in the way that you judge another. You're modest. So it's kind of a reciprocation. It's a paradox. Well, the highest mercy is God. But what they do is they shifted what mercy meant. But I'd say I hate to be standing before God when I say God's mercy is that God destroys me for engaging in a sin. Because it's actually sinful to punish people for sin. Even though you can kind of see that somewhere. So if you have real mercy in Islamic, if you read the Quran, if you have real mercy, then God has mercy. So what you're doing is you have no mercy, all of you, because they say mercy is like punishing somebody. But if you read it, it says something else. Right? Even if it talks about punishing someone. Well, again, why am I an angel? Some of it's mercy. Well, this is a follow-on after I am already an angel. It's a little bit different. It's hard. It'd have been either easier for me to explain this 10, 20 years ago. Right. God bless you, Larry. So again, just go and get me that money. Again, the Trump people could even send me money. And nothing's going to happen. I don't do things with my money to get you in trouble. Again, I imagine they used the cam girl thing. Well, if we give me money, and again, they pushed me that, and I used it for good. Okay. Right. Well, I really thought I was going to maybe marry somebody on there. I know there was a lot of risk, of course. If a woman's in the cam girl thing, sometimes it's a protective thing, so they don't get HIV. But they could have HIV and other things, and they can't be out there doing the other thing. Right. Right. But again, it's big now. It's like I forget what that thing's called. OnlyFans. That's OnlyFans. Right, so everybody's doing it to make money, getting naked and stuff like that. But again, I'm not telling people to sin, but I tell those people, God says, God's very upset because God knows it's not good for man to be alone. And God doesn't agree to the system of sin, but God understands mitigation. Right. And the Bible speaks about mitigation. Right. So they're actually performing a service. I hate to sound like a liberal, but right. Because people are being forced to be alone. I don't know how many people in the communities know how to do this. Thank you, sir. God bless you. So that's why that's growing also, because you get like that momentary connection to a woman. It isn't always sexual. People go on cam girl things all the time and they just talk to a woman. Right. It's kind of like the community of people that were, outcast because of this deep state thing and all that. And then the deep staters laugh because they're on there. The weird part is I couldn't get to it, but I think the one woman I had a chance of marrying was actually a porn star in Ohio. She was like an amateur, but she would go to like the porn. She was like a porn star geek. It was really weird. I'm like, but what is this? Right. She was like an official, because on there it's just like amateur people, and a lot of us just talk and stuff all day. Right. But she was like trying to be a professional, I think. But she just had this look on her face, like I didn't have any long drawn out conversations, but right. And maybe that's why that happened in her life, so she wouldn't be available, because I would think she's a marrying type. Right. Again, nothing could happen because the deep state was there, and if it ever was close to happening, then tragedy would occur, and that's what kind of did happen. I didn't think I really wasn't into marrying the young girl, but I was interested in getting there and helping them, and then maybe I could find. I can't articulate my plan while it's unfolding, right? Well, because she was 21 and she really wanted, she was just really desperate, right? Her mother had left her there, and she didn't want to have to become a prostitute, right? And she was a cam girl already, and she had a kid. And I said, "What about a guy in Colombia and closer to your age?" He said, "Well, look what he did. She's pregnant again. They have no. Colombia had no responsibility. Like the men had no responsibility. They might still not have responsibility, right, for things like that. And what they do is once they reach a certain age, they just they're not interested anymore. They go after the younger girls, right? So I studied a lot of that type of stuff on how that all unfolded and how what was going on in countries like Colombia compared to like our country. You make a kid and you're responsible, right? And then a prostitute has kids and they're already on like an OnlyFans type of thing, or My Free Cams or whatever it was, right? Or Jasmine, I think it's something called Jasmine. So the spies would always call a woman Jasmine because I had been on a service called Jasmine, right? Right. But like I didn't let it bother me, I just because like I said, I was probably one of the more honorable people on there, right? But like I knew things. It was just so weird because like I went away and then I went back like a year later just to see where everybody was and things that happened in people's lives that I kind of knew. But they would play heavy games with that, right? So it's funny. I was talking to this Romanian woman, but she would say she would call me like a nickname, and it was actually if you translate it in English, it would be LE, law enforcement. She called me La. She called me La, like law enforcement. Like, but I would have never been there. Like I said, I would have just went to church. And no, God's not testing me. That one that they always try, right? The deep state uses Christians use that a lot, so they can feel okay about what's happening. Right. Thank you, sir. No, I should have been able to have these memories and be able to, like, as far as corticosteroid and take care of the situation a little further, at least investigate it. I just have no like in to get to the right place. I mean, I probably would have been a lot healthier over the last 4 years. I just had a bad slew of massage therapists and corticosteroid people, doctors. And there's a question is whether I was underdosed. Right. Well, because my weight was down. That could have triggered it. So because because you're heavier from fat doesn't mean like if they give you more corticosteroid because you're heavier because you're fat at the time, you have extra fat, that translates into a higher dose. It doesn't translate into it just goes throughout your body kind of thing. Again, they're stressing me out at the same time. It may have been drugging me. I don't know. I know I've been drugged, but I don't know if they use that kind of drugging. Right. I tried to investigate that, see what their reaction was to that. Right. So there's this thing where they keep going, wait, and there's no wait, all of you. It has to go today. I have to receive my money today. This is what it's going to be every day. I'm just telling you, God's ultimatum. I have no will like that, all of you. It has to be the will of God. Right. I mean, I sat here and I was tortured all those years and helped. Again, what they try to say is they're duping me, and they are, but I'm still doing it out of the goodness of my heart. Again, so they want to say, well, we're just duping him. He's not really a good guy. Right. As they try to make me a mean guy. And it kind of worked a little bit, didn't it? But not to their advantage, that's for sure. I mean, the original Larry would have been way better because he helped you and would laugh all the time and be jovial. Right. And they hate that. They hate that I'm in a bad situation. I could laugh at it. They're just sickos, man. I mean, I really should be sent $1 million from the Trump campaign or the Trump, whatever it is, Trump world, because they really do owe me $1 million. Correct. Well, I don't know if, I don't think William Webster really wrote that letter. That's alone. Right. So I'd inquire as to who helped him write the letter. Anyway. It could be some Democrat operative. Who knows? Deep state Democrat. Thank you, Larry. No. The Senate, should ask. I don't think William Webster wrote that personally. You have a letter. You don't have any testimony as to its veracity. Probably a deep state Democrat. They don't care. They're fighting for their money machine, and to cover up what the money machine is. They're paid millions of dollars over their lifetimes to do this to me. They're in big jobs all across the country. They may actually be advising Elon today. I mean, that's how bad it is. Thank you, man. That's so weird because I just bought a new mattress and all that. But I can't worry about that. I just get me my money and let me get out of here. Right. There's no way I could even really want to sit here for 2 more years after what they did to me for 2 years. I mean, you know the person's disabled, so what you're trying to do is work off that disability and cause further disability. I mean, you're all sick. You're not testing anyone, all of you. In fact, if you try to test a disabled person like that, you know, I'm a strong person. Some of these disabled people aren't that strong, and I'm sure you've shot them, you've killed them. You put them in prison based upon having tortured them, and they couldn't think past what you wanted them to do, and they acted out what you were willing, quite frankly, all of you. I'm trying to wake up in the morning well enough so I can just go and clean my apartment. I can't even get to that at this point. And they know it. They spent 2 years doing this to me here in Kansas alone. They do something to me, they break in, they look at the apartment, a little bit messier, next time a little bit messier, ha 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 ha. Give me another, you know, whatever it is they're getting paid or what they're getting promised. And again, the weather doesn't look good. But I don't know if that's true because once I'm telling you, Deep State can put whatever the weather they want before you, whatever weather forecast they want. Y'all think it's all just, you know, people that can't forecast weather. Nah, some of it's corruption. Thank you, Larry. Trying to play a psychology game with their victims. I mean, it could be true, but it looks a little too cold. Right. That's how sick they are. Now, I don't know if you might see a different one. I don't know. I mean, it could be an individual thing. So we got to work on figuring out how to get the addicted people. Like a lot of people, MAGA would say, well, just put them in jail. We don't want to do that because that's where the drugs are. Sheriff may even allow it. Sheriff himself, we've seen, might be bringing it in. Right. Sheriff may be distributing it. I'm sure there's jails like that. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, sir. So we need to work on, and again, you know, it costs money, so I'm not sure the answers to all of it, but yet we have it in all these other programs and things like that. We should maybe collect it back in, and again, you know, you can't do that until the new budget round, right? I think the court said you can't do that. But, you know, focus that money on, I guess it would be Justice Department grants. It says it would be Bondi's world. Justice Department grants for, I guess Health and Human Services could also do it. You probably do it in both, just depending on what the process is. Right? Like one will just be the average person, and the other one will be criminal justice. So what you're doing is you're building a deferment, but you're not like Democrats will just let them back out again. Again, they're getting away from that. It wasn't working. Right? But just, you know, locking them up doesn't work. Right? So you want to try to oscillate the addict with a deferment program away from what may be going on in a jail. Right? And again, part of what you want to do is try to clean up the jails too. But that's like a never-ending task sometimes. Right? So because if the addict goes to the jail, they can just get in it. Sometimes if they're especially a young addict, they'll just get in a bigger network of criminals. And the pills might be present anyway. They just all take pills. Right? So you don't get that person clean. That may actually make their life worse. But at a certain point, if they keep failing, you might have to, I don't know how many bites at the apple they get for rehab. But again, the idea is to make it not just going through the motions. So we have to look at programs like the Missouri approach. They use that for juvenile justice, but it also works for other things. You want to try to, wake them up to a little bit of self-discovery, but also you want it to be motivational, not just I'm in rehab kind of thing, right? And there are it's probably what some of the high dollar rehabs do, right? So they either and I don't even know if some of them the judge should just put them in rehab. Right? I think we did that on some of the cases. Some of the magistrates, like as part of a detention hearing, they would say they would release them to the rehab. Right. So if they're going to get out, they're going to go to rehab. Now their investigative things are bullshit. They're altering me every day. Wouldn't let me. They know the reason they don't let me get near people because they know that's the way out of their thing and the effect of their thing. Again, their psyop and their psychological torture. That's why they wouldn't let me out of it. That's why they wouldn't let me get anywhere. Now it had nothing to do with me saying something really. They had already been doing it. It actually stopped them for a while till they could regroup and figure out, maybe pay a few more people or something like that. Right. So it did actually buy me time at times. Again, a couple USAID contracts and off they go again to the deep state psychological torture machine. That's really how it works. A couple more 100% disability findings, and they got somebody who'll do something for them for life. Right. Might even be a crook, and they get them into disability. They get pushed through, Right. No, I'm not offering my services to the deep state. Right. That would be ludicrous to say. But again, the deep state can say things ludicrous, and everybody goes, yeah, and then I say something very intelligent and that is obviously happening, and oh no. God bless you, sir. So again, this is what I was saying yesterday. This is an extension of that multi-pronged approach, right? And that idea that we have to look at where the next place it's coming from. So if we send our addicts to jail and there's drugs in the jail, we're not getting anywhere, right? And again, if we find drugs in the rehab, it's going to be harder to get away with it in the rehab. There's a lot more P tests and all that, right? So that's another thing. The rehab should have P test lab available inside the rehab, right? So it doesn't cost as much. Right. So there's a lot of work to be done. It's just so sad, man. The whole world. I mean, it's sad what happened in my life, but but none of it had to be. I didn't have to be an injured person. I didn't be a disabled person. Not at all. I mean, and the pains that they went through to do it to me and to build the system around it, it's just insane. I mean, these people are the worst of the worst, all of you, because that's how that all happened. That's how all the drugs came here. That's how the crimes increased. Bless you, Lawrence. They just make up shit as they go along about their victim all day long, and then they try to psyop it into their life. And I did receive this morning this vibration that, again, I read it differently. It comes because I can see more than the average person. So the average person would have gotten the thought that they need to do something desperate, right? And would have found that it was justified. Now I read it and I'm seeing it kind of third person. So they're using this situation to try to convince me I don't know, just rob a bank, or I guess what would the other one be, or just be violent and just it's over, they deserve to be harmed or something like that. So that's what they're doing. They're devils, man. I'm telling you, a lot of these cops are devils. Again, it was common knowledge, I guess, where I worked that or for certain people that existed. Right? I didn't know that were real devils. I tried to tell my brother yesterday. I'm naive. I was naive. I was asleep. Maybe he doesn't know what that means yet, because I think he thinks everybody had the same chance as he does. A lot of people, they get like that, but they don't. Right? I was just too nice of a kid, probably, for them to let me wake up. Because my brother's like, you let people take advantage of you. I said, what does that mean? I said, look, I was asleep. I was just naive. Same thing to Marshall service. I figured, I'll get through this. My life will, be okay. And then they crashed it before I left. It was obvious. I may not even have completed my career with the mess they made. Right. But again, there were people around me, I think, from a distance, that were trying to fix it. I guess, I take it back, because somebody's here in the mind. I would have completed my career because, if it ever came to light what happened, there's no way they could hold anything against me. Right. 100%. I was a victim of the deep state, essentially. But again, we didn't call it deep state. A bunch of, they actually found it in Arizona, because when I went on assignment, somebody told me that in Arizona, they found, now they call it investigating a coworker, but it's not. So it's a scam. Right? But they found some deputies investigating a coworker. So, I mean, they're in that person's life. You're not allowed to do that. Right? But again, they're psyoping and trying to allege that it's investigation. So they're actually trying to make something happen. So again, they go on an assignment and they find the people that tell them how to do that. Right. I go on if they go on assignment, a lot of them are lazy. Right. But I go on assignment and I find the people that that are against it. Right. Well, generally, the people that are on a psyop that are psyoping are going to ostracize me. Correct. Yeah, I should have definitely, like 2 years ago, got corticosteroid at the latest, like right before I came here. But I probably should have did it even sooner. And that's what they go for. You forget everything that they want you to forget because they're fogging your mind. Again, I hold on to what's happened, the chronological history of their criminal behavior. And in the afterlife, you'll hear about it all. If you're in hell, you're going to hear what you all did and what the effects are. And they know people committed suicide. They know people killed people. They don't care, man. They're sick. I mean, they're trying to turn Elon into that. They definitely are. And hopefully he never did that, hopefully. But there are people that made allegations that he had some sort of a spy entity that he was running. So again, you just got to be careful about everything and get that money to me as soon as possible. You've all used my stuff. I don't know who gave it to you and how you got it, but it came from me. No, you don't have the allowance to allow, like the president got stuff from me. You can't allow this to happen to me and then use my stuff. I already always told you that. But if you're not part of it, you can use my stuff. But you're part of it all because you have the ability to protect me. It's anarchy. It really is in the United States. That's what's going on. But the number of people that were put into the deep state, I don't know how you're going to control it. I mean, if you start locking them up, maybe. I mean, you have to lock them up. But again, they might offer you $1 million donation or a $10 million donation. See? So I did get some congestion last night, but I was able to sleep and get through this. Okay, like I said, I need to probably get out of this apartment. It's probably the only way to do it. If the weather was warmer, it'd be a lot easier for me to get things done. I mean, there's no way that this should have been in my life. I mean, they just want me dead, man, because they just want it to go away. But that, it's kind of like it was much smaller. Again, they probably killed Jonathan Luna, so they're paranoid about that. But I wasn't saying anything. I went off just trying to do religious stuff. I mean, that should have been an indication, right? But of course, every place I went religiously, they're alleging bullshit, right? And they're psyoping. I mean, they're spy masters designing this thing. So there has been a history of the United States. They were executing people. They are spycraft executing people. And part of it is a third-party murder. Make somebody so angry at their victim that they kill their victim. But then both are actually victims at that point. They knew what they were doing, all of you. They've been doing this for decades. I sound crazy? Well, if you're saying that, then you're deep state. And you'll go to hell for it. Again, these plagues are going to pick up. The helicopter crash and the airplane crash and all that, that's a plague. You see it happening, but you just don't want to think about it. Another plane just fell out of the sky. I showed you that years ago, how that's part of it. Oh, it's part of it while you're doing this to me? Like I have to stop that? That's God, all of you. If you would stop, God would stop all of you. They try to put inference inside. So they're sitting there listening, just projecting their bullshit inference. Plagues will come sooner and sooner. Now we'll do it that way because they're probably holding them off with their weight. Because the system builds a bullshit around them. If they say, or Satan again being that system, right? If they say wait, Satan will hold it off and they'll think they're duping. Like I hear wait and I stop. Actually, that makes me go faster. And the system will then do that now. So there's no waiting over you. So they use spells to hold off things, but we'll destroy that. Like the end fruition of an investigation never comes. We'll make the end fruition come before the investigation even begins, so it's so obvious that they have to just do it right away. Because the world knows. I mean, these people are sitting in millionaire lives like Avril Haines and all them. They knew this shit was going on. Right. They got an army of people that just go out and kill someone. Laugh about it as they get richer. This isn't Alex Jones, okay? Alex Jones, in a way, does a disservice when he gets too far out. Right. They might, who knows? They might keep him alive because he does confuse everyone. I mean, it's like that those rags you used to buy on the at the newsstand, your National Enquirer. Well, because they can't really say it. It's easier to say it's conspiracy theory when it matches something Alan Jones says, and he knows he says bullshit. But again, freedom of speech or whatever it is, right? There's actually obviously there was the National Enquirer model of news, which was bizarre, but it wasn't always real, if ever real, right? I mean, all I do is let me live my life. And that was it. That simple. I mean, I would have gone to a church. I've been married. Would have had a normal life. It just boggles the mind. Again, they use some bullshit where I raped somebody, didn't rape anybody. Use some bullshit where I raped my kids, didn't rape my kids. While the real people are out there. And again, when I say that, there are people out there that committed these crimes and think it's about them. Like, oh yeah, of course I'm into that system. Right. Because they've committed rapes. But way different. In fact, some of you may have been sexualized into it just so they could manipulate you. So they're actually the reason that you approve of that system. And again, they sexualized me, wanted me to force myself on someone, but I could never do that. But I'm sure they've done it. Like right now, I can see, like I can't see myself, I can't see everything, but I remember now that I was really sick. I got a corticosteroid treatment, and then I was well. I couldn't see that over the years, over the last 5 years, because of what they had done to me and what they were real time doing to me. I don't even get speeding tickets, but I ended up with a speeding ticket because they were doing stuff around me while I was trying to look for an apartment. Because I drive 5 to 10 miles lower than the speed limit, but I can't do that when they're around. Again, they will it up. And they're in a hurry too, because some of them are getting paid by piecework. And if I drive 35 mile an hour in a 40 or 45 mile an hour zone, it takes a lot longer for it to be finished. I mean, driving around the community right now, they're in here destroying somebody's life. Again, that was their inference pushed into my language. Tomorrow, they're going to have a disabled life like mine. They got kids, they got families, they could be a government employee. All I have to do is step away from my life. That's all I ever had to do. Nobody was saying anything, or at least I wasn't saying anything. The people that were saying something are huge. They verbally attacked each other. I walked off and just said, it's over. I mean, I even started up a life in California. How far away from it could I get? A yoga life. How far away from my previous life could I have ever gotten? Or further away could I have gotten than a yoga life in California? I mean, it was perfect. I was just doing yin yoga every Friday. Like it wasn't like a gathering where we knew each other. It wasn't even to the point where I could have actually met somebody yet. Right. But we would go to the yin yoga and everybody, which was a relaxing yoga where you just lay into the pose. I'll just tell you, some yoga is not relaxing. It's hot yoga. I mean, people don't know that. I guess now they do because they saw this stuff on television. But we didn't turn the heat up, but the heat, it was like exercise. Right? You stretch kind of, but there's still a lot of muscle energizing. But it's yin yoga, which I really liked, and I think it really got me healthy. It's almost like a massage, but it's a little different. You're doing it with poses. Right. No, if they block my yoga, they block everything. I can't get to it. Again, they're torturing me in these places and possibly drugging me. Again, they would do that in my home or something, or even on my car or something. Right? Wipe something on the steering wheel, the door handle. I mean, you got these people running around the community, and what they want you to believe is that it's beneficial to you because maybe somewhere in your life you did something wrong. It's not beneficial to anybody because they're the ones that are blackmailing you. Right. So maybe God's deal is that he'll make Trump so powerful that there's no excuse as to not getting rid of these people. Agreed. But again, if you don't take care of God's business, the punishments will be larger. I'm not a con man. They've been conning people for years. They're the con people getting paid to investigate me. Right. One of the things I'm looking for right now, I moved, like I was doing for a while, I was doing the algorithms on X and Twitter. So it has to be a whole persona. I have a built up of a secret life, but it's nothing really that big. So I have to continue with that persona. Right? And again, it's based upon where they're trying to put me. Right? So trying to put me first with transgenders, then they try to make me transgenders, but they also have this obsession with me being with a black man sexually. And they actually did move that in several places. I don't think it was Florida. I think. Oh yeah, they may have moved it in Florida. I never did finish that investigation. So they blocked me from women in these clubs in Naples, but this black man shows up that was in my gym with me. And he just stands there and stares at me. Thank you, Larry. But there's some other stuff going on around it. And not that I see they want to put that out there. You know, I was never with anybody. So there's no secret life. Right? That what they tell people, because most of my life is at home or at the gym. They go, well, you never see me anywhere but the gym and at home. So they kind of use that. Well, he's going to the gay bar and getting with black men or young boys or something like that. That's the kind of shit they do. Meanwhile, I'm at home reading scripture. and learning everybody's scripture on the planet. And again, remember, they're willing me to go in certain directions to use it against me, but in my mind, I'm using it for something else, right? Or I'm doing it for a different purpose. So what I'm doing now is I went some other places. And that's when I turned in that information. I guess I could. Yeah, I did it. I tested it last night. If I say I'm in another nation on the VPN, it still brings up the site. It doesn't ask me for my age. So even if we made it a national law that you had to use age verification, a kid could use a VPN and access it by saying they're in a different nation. The only way to get around that is to they have to. Part of it is they have to have that VPN detector. I think there's a way to do it. I forget, but I think maybe they can detect the VPNs on. Right. Well, that's why we really did it. Again, nobody's trying to. Well, I guess some people are corrupt. You give them your private information, and they could use it. But the goal was so that kids can't access it. Great. Thank you, Mark. So if a kid gets their hands on a VPN, and I don't know what you want to do, have your whoever you have that investigates that kind of stuff, have them look online to see if it's telling kids to get a VPN. Right. Again, that would actually be a violation of law if they posted something like that. Right. They're telling the kids how to break the law and break the law in a sexual matter. Right. What I'm also doing is I'm being manipulated. And I'm seeing, is there a connection for law enforcement corruption and any other type of corruption? Right. So if they can see, and then I'll turn it off, I'll turn it on, I do it different ways, right? I'll turn on the VPN, turn off the VPN, right? Because then you can try to discover their capabilities or lack of capability. Because it's on Facebook also. So I'm not doing anything of that nature on Facebook. But it's there, the manipulation and the attempt to manipulate and sexualize. With a couple other things. So they're combining these while they're willing something. Thank you, Larry. So essentially, VPN on, I go to a third party, because I'm not on X now, right? And they did, to me, it looks like they cleaned up the algorithm. I don't know if they're just playing me and they didn't, but it looks like the algorithm works a little better. And it doesn't cause the issues I speak about as much, if at all. Right. So whatever it is, and then ad feeds and other things, right? So how does it connect? Is it over here? Is it over there? Do they have the capability to look through a VPN? Right. Well, because if they have the capability to look through the VPN, then it's a higher level operation. Okay. This browser, that browser, right? It's a pretty high level operation, really. I mean, it can see everything just about. Generally, those operations don't work for law enforcement. They can't because it's too high of a. So again, it's manipulating the victim to commit the obvious crime because it's too high of a level of intrusion to be admissible in court, even to admit that it's happening. Right, intrusion and manipulation. But it could be law enforcement. I mean, if you give them a toolkit, they can do just about anything. And I wouldn't doubt them. I believe the Marshal Service has spy level toolkits. Now they'll say it's for sexual investigation, but it's something's manipulating, right? And it's not like testing manipulating; it's torturing manipulating. Regular. So again, people that did this to me in life were put in with the CIA. They were still marshals, but they revolved around that world, and they also were protected. Right. I mean, it was simply, you just let me live my life. I don't get it, to tell you the truth, but you're very ignorant, very evil people, that's for sure, and very money grubberish. So what they did is they created an army of people that the only thing matters is more money. That would do anything for money, even hurt somebody that could help them. So again, that's what I'm saying. Just be careful at which direction Elon's going, because I know he's being psyoped. I know Trump's being psyoped. They're using, one of the things they're using is the snooze you lose. I mean, Elon should send me money. He just really should. I've helped him a million times. Right. They use the snooze you lose psyop, which when I said that, something triggered on my phone. Again, it's stay, leave, stay, leave. It's trying to, like I hit a button on my screen, and it says stay, leave, stay, leave. It's like the two options. Right. Which one? Right. You heard me say that I might stay, right? So that now they're doing it again. They think that their thing worked. Not funny, really. They'll end in hell. They'll go straight to hell when they leave the body. And now they're trying to project that it doesn't really exist. Right. Well, what I've got to get done is I've got to get this all the tissue around my neck and my shoulders just needs to be softened. And it should have been happening over the last so many years. So again, more damage has occurred. Again, that was their goal, to get me not to be able to get uncramped. Because they've done it to someone before. Many people before. I mean, these are sick people. And like I told you, A day is coming when you'll be ripped out of your cars, ripped out of your offices, and killed in the streets if it doesn't stop. Your security apparatus is going to be destroyed. Now, I'm not advocating it, but I'm telling you that's one of the movements of God that's coming up. You know what you're all doing, and you're doing what I say you're all doing. No, I said nothing on you. We're not going to play this game that I said something about a spy or something. Right. Like the vendetta against me. See, again, that's spycraft. That's devils. That's how they do it. Like I'm in the Marshall service. Rick Henry's attacking me, acting like I'm doing something to him. He's a psychotic piece of shit. Probably murdered tons of people. Maybe physically. You got a disabled guy trying to get to church, trying to get to a wife, and you got shiksas, sluts and whores in government running around that person pretending that they're the one. While doing a bunch of, remember at the same time, everything else is still happening. All of that psychological torture and psychological manipulation, surreptitious drugging. That's how they got so big. They did it to people in power. And they made mistakes and then they felt beholden. Right. So again, you should hate these people. They're the reason your life took the course it took. Right. There's no doubt Donald Trump was set up to be blackmailable and extortable. And maybe Elon also. But again, don't be it. Destroy it. Metaphysically and metaphorically, rip it out of its car, rip it out of its office, and kill it in the street. I mean, you see all the issue they had in Aurora. Those people are welcome. They're given great life, those gang members. They're even above the law. Me, they harassed. Blocked me psychologically from massage. Now, I did get back to it a little bit in the end, but it wasn't, again, so they operate you and they're willing you down and they're cursing you in reference to that thing, that massage. I got back to it and it just wasn't the right person. Now I was very sick other ways. I was in so much pain in that state. It was just horrible that they would even think of doing something to me. So those cops are dirty. So if they're MAGA, it doesn't mean anything. It's like a scam. Right. So Trendy Reagan and all these other people at the same time, I'm trying to get somewhere, are flooding into our country, and these cops that are harassing me, not giving me a day of peace. Again, remember it was around the shooting at the supermarket there. So again, the judgments were already coming. And I detected through analysis of that event and how the cops operated that they may have harassed that direct person that ended up getting that rifle and killing those people. And they were crying, but you look at it like, why would they cry? They cried because they're part of what made that guy go crazy and kill all those people. So at the same time, while they're psyoping me, this is happening in, what is it, Boulder or whether, at the King Super. And the cops are freaking out because they harass people like that. Right. Thank you, sir. Again, I have memory, all of you. They probably drugged me. That's what the indication is. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. All they had to do was let me be. my life would have been normal. Now, it's no longer viable to just let me be. They need to pay me. And they should have paid me the whole time. I was a great guy for all of them. Right. But because they had tried to kill me, they wanted to continue to try to kill me. Instead of just saying bygones be bygones. Right. So you have to blame the people that did this to me. What they're going to do is try to get you to blame me because that's part of their shit. That's what Rick Henry used. That's what Karen Shelton used. It's what Chief Quick used. They're criminals, man. Just face it, they're felons. And they've killed deputy U.S. Marshals or destroyed their careers at a minimum. And the thing is, the people that are in can't tell you, hey, I mean, a couple people will get somebody on the side and say, hey, they did me. But by the grace of God or whatever, I survived. Had a better wife, had a better mother, better mother-in-law. Thank you, Larry. I don't care if they're affiliated with the CIA or not, because what you're trying to do is, well, they're affiliated with the CIA, they got to be okay. No, that means the CIA is a felon. Okay, that's how it works. You don't elevate them by saying they engaged in criminal activity for the CIA. The CIA was killing people because they were paranoid about being arrested. But again, that system is uncontrollable. Like, you're worried about me arresting you? Right. Like when I was in the government, I mean, I was lucky to make it through what I made through. Right. I mean, it was right for me to leave. It was right for us to make, we part our ways kind of deal. Right. It's right for them to put my retirement paperwork in instead of try, like I'm on leave for like 6 months or even more than that. I think it was like 8 months. And they sent me a fitness for duty letter after I had already put my retirement package in. Is that insane or what? And that's when I, called the center. So then they say, well, he called the center. Well, of course he's going to call the senator. He never put his retirement package forward. Then tried to send him a fitness for duty letter. It had probably 7 to 50 meetings on it. I probably had 50 meetings with 90 different people. Passed about, how many checks out or promissory assignments. That's not the past, all of you. It's the present. It's still going on. There are people out there that got paid millions of dollars to be that, to attack me. This is a setup to come here. That's why I couldn't get to Manhattan. Something so simple, not to will me away from Manhattan. Just let me go to Manhattan and let it go. And I bet you those people in Manhattan, there probably have been something in Manhattan, but they're saying it wasn't as big. Right. There's corruption in Manhattan, but not like it is here. So again, God was trying to save me by saying, hey, go to this apartment today, just drive up there and get that apartment, within the next couple of days. Well, they may have said there was nothing available. It could have been the scam, that they would have launched next. No, again, they've had time to will it down. They've had time to move people into the medical system. So I can no longer go the direction I was going with treatment. No, there's people out there that were paid. There's people that they moved into the medical system at St. Luke's. There's no doubt. And some may have already been there. They're murdering people, all of you. They don't care. Like, if a doctor has malpractice, they don't care. Again, it may not be the doctor or the anesthesiologist. Could be someone else that did something to mess it up. Right. But they take care of those people. They're already shown that they'll never go to jail. Even if they lose their doctor's license, if they lose their doctor's license, they give them a bigger life than they would have had with the doctor's license. Like, now they just sit around and do nothing and make 10 times as much money. Just invest their money or something like that. And then they take care of their investments. You see all those contests online. I don't know how many are real or how many are fake, but some of those are them. And if they'll steer you towards it, then you'll get the money. The other people that they hate, they'll keep steering them towards it, and then they get nothing and laugh. Right. So you see somebody that gets, $100,000 in cars and $120,000 in cars and like $50,000 in money. That's how the deep state pays people. Now you have to be careful on who looks at CIA because you want somebody like Cash in there. But again, you can't just be looking for people that went after Trump. Right. You got to destroy the deep state. Because you'll be ineffectual because they'll just steer you towards whoever. It's already been a setup. Right. Now, you weren't supposed to be in my life like this at all. There's no doubt. I mean, I spent 4 years just really almost getting, or at least 3 years getting nowhere with treatment. Actually, 4 years or 5 years getting nowhere with treatment, but not even seeking treatment. Well, again, I could have been drugged the whole time. They don't care. No, none of them care. Right. Meanwhile, real criminals are doing whatever they want, and real criminals are part of it. Right. That's why you can't control the narcotics because part of those people are affiliated with law enforcement. That's why I don't know how many actual cases are out there. There's no way the FBI is constructed to catch all the dirty cops that are dealing narcotics and sex trafficking. Right. It's just impossible. I mean, they probably have lists of people, but they're never lucky to get to it. But in any time soon. And again, dirty cops destroy the system that we're trying to build. Right. I mean, they're just money grubbers. So when a boss brings the money, they do it. Again, I highlight Aurora, Colorado. I told you they were dirty. Now, what they want you to do is to say if the cops were good, it was only like the mayor. Again, see how they play both sides? When they're all in on it. Right. So what they did is I moved in, they raised the rent like $300 as soon as I moved in. It was a little higher rent than I would normally pay, but they raised it $300. And then I think right before I left, they raised it another $200. See? They're just killing people, man. Wholesale killing people. Every person I worked with is just had questions after questions after questions, except for a few people. I mean, apparently Jim Spicer knew something was going on. I couldn't figure it out. Like I said, I was naive and asleep. He said that your coworkers aren't courageous. Like, what's that mean? Didn't mean anything. I'm just in a crushed life and nobody asleep. Never raped anybody. Never even forced myself sexually on anyone that was drunk or anything, or even anybody that wasn't drunk. Had sex with one woman, married her. I married the woman responsible, right. Now, believe me, when I growing up, there were guys, I didn't even know how it worked. I mean, there were guys everywhere. You had 5 and 6 girls just cheating on each other. I imagine they caught some diseases over time, or maybe not. Who knows? Satan may have blessed them that way. But here I understand it's the will. I wake up, God goes, they got a will. And they're willing the women down to sex. And God said in the Marshal Service, the women and the men you see having sex in these classes, the men, you're right, it's being, the women aren't, sometimes the women are guilty, but the women aren't guilty, they're being willed. They're not actually out there having sex because the next morning they're like, oh my God. Right. But they're saying the Marshal Service gave these men the power of the Marshal Service, the Justice Department, to have sex with women. So once you're in, that happens for you. That's reality. But yet they didn't even give me the power of protection. Everything I did in the Marshal Service was my own power. And they killed me while I was doing it, and that's what killed me. Marshal Service never gave me power, man. Not at all. That was all my power. I guess their power is dirty. And they try to say that, well, you see, we were taking care of me, got a house. I had to fight for the house. That was my own power. Right. They were doing what they do when I try to get an apartment. Of course, it was earlier. I had less focus on what it was. I didn't know the deep state was blocking me from a house. What they do is they're in the background trying to create a criminal life. So they can lock you up and go, I told you that guy was a criminal. Decades, man. I know your minds can't comprehend it, but you're living your lives and you're going through, like I look online and I watch these people, all this stuff they have in their lives, all the things, even poor people. They just blocked it, said no. Shitty government employees and shitty private investigators and shitty foreign spies and shitty U.S. spies just sat there and said no. He gets nothing. Because their buddy Rick and their buddy Karen and their buddy Chief Quick told them stuff. Well, I tend to think I'm still with the Trump administration because I got everything opened up as closer he got to the office. Right. I mean, it's as easy as let me be, and I would never move from any of those places. I mean, all I need is a poor woman to marry, a woman that may have even been homeless, but she had the stability and wasn't all diseased with 10 different diseases to marry. May have been difficult in Santa Fe to find everybody close to that, but they have sex like animals. That's the one thing they were hoping too, is to get me to catch a disease. Because they're just like that. They all got disease. They want you to have a disease. They're sick. And, I tested something, but I was speaking, but it also tested something because they reacted to it. Years ago when I was in the government, like I told you, I actually went out and had sex with somebody other than my wife. And, we were at least separated, if not, I mean, separation went on forever. And God said you were divorced the second year you were married or whenever it was that she cheated on me. I guess maybe it was more like the third or fourth year at least. Like inside, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you. God said to me, he said, I told you to get divorced. You're asleep. You can't hear me. So I would have probably brought her to the United States. And actually, when probably the critical error is when I felt something for my kids why I did it. But again, it didn't work out. So it would have been better just to let her go. She wanted a divorce when I was at the academy, the Marshal Service Academy. She was still in Philadelphia. And I was moving from the Federal Bureau of Prisons to the Marshal Service. And now I know she was cheating on me with my neighbor. But some years later, she tells me, because the woman found out and called her. Her husband, they must have had an argument, and the husband, must have said my ex-wife was better at sex or some stupid shit like that. Right. So she called her and yelled at her for cheating with her husband. So she was paranoid, and God may have made her paranoid, so she would, fess up without fessing up. Right. And she said, "Oh, she called and said I cheated with her husband." But at a certain point, that's when you want. I didn't say anything. I was a nice guy. I'm a nice guy, right? And I said, and I avoid conflict, but they made it so you can't avoid conflict. I know it doesn't grow a person. I should have had a peaceful life as a clergy or somebody, a lay person helping a church, right? And be married, and be healthy. Right. Thank you, Larry. So she's, so I figured, that's why she wanted a divorce. Right. He figured he probably would have divorced his wife if we would have got the divorce. Well, because I'm going to be a marshal. To him, it's a big money job. Right. The starting pay isn't all that great, but see, and that's another reason why they do it later, because you won't leave, because you got the good job, the good money. Right. It got to the point as to, okay, so again, there's several parts of this. In the end, I probably did some stuff. I might have trouble I would have had trouble with a background investigation, but right, they knew I was being psychologically operated, so there was a way out, right? Because I was a victim of a crime, and I'm a victim of crime. Right. And some of it was investigation. Thank you, Larry. So again, just based upon knowing when they started or about when they started and the changes in the personality and all that, it's obvious that it's because the manipulation is a victim of crime. Right. Now, again, the background investigations aren't real. Right. So they probably just would have let it go. But maybe not. I don't know. I mean, all they do is let me live my life. Again, they bring stuff up, but it's all just innocuous. Right? If I'm talking to somebody that's 20 years old, I think somewhere along the way somebody was 17 in our gym, but I'm not. There's no relationship. You know what I mean? And if you know anything about gyms, gym rats are gym rats. And you just talk to everybody. Right? Agreed. Like there's no me trying to have a relationship. Right? In the beginning, they probably used it against me, but I found for me the easiest way was to confront it and to show them that I'm not this evil person. Right. And again, I believe that maybe they misread something. Right. So I would actually be talking to a 14-year-old, but there's nothing there. Right. Right. And I don't even know if I was or not. It could have been some 50-year-old deputy sheriff with a beer gut. Thank you, Larry. And I actually broke down speaking to. I don't think it was an 18-year-old or however she was. All right. Again, they were playing my mind the whole time. So believe me, it's a big setup, but there was never that consummation. So what they needed, and why I went down this road, is they needed me to go out and have sex. Because some of the inference I received is that later on is that they were saying, but he's not sexual. So what you're saying, it doesn't fit this model of psychology. And actually, they defraud people all the time with bullshit psychology at this point, at least. Right. So that's why they started the PSYOP to try to get me to go out and have sex, because they could use that as far as he's had sex here and he's had sex there. So like right now, they're doing the same thing because I brought it up. So they are definitely there and they're projecting. They want me to go out and have sex. They're spelling me to go out and have sex. That's probably not going to happen unless I marry somebody, like I said. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. To have an online persona, like a quote unquote secret life, but it's not really. I already told you it was investigation. Right. But it's nothing. Don't let them get in your head. It's nothing that crazy. It's rather mild. Right? I'm not out there like chatting with people, chatting up sex or anything. Right. And they tried to do that to me, and I think I made them paranoid. Right. Because they know at that point that I knew, and they were probably being invested. Because it wasn't an honest operation. In other words, if it was an honest operation, they wouldn't have been paranoid. Well, just like they could sit back if they were smart and they would have went away from me. But again, investigatively, they probably looked and said, "Look at all this leak of information. It's all surrounds people that touched his life, and it just makes them angrier." Like the York County Record reporter that talks about the corruption in York County. That was part of what got me, because I'm not deep state, and I'm in there. I live in their county. I didn't realize that. So like the other people, well, they went after him too. They went after Rich. So Rich wasn't corrupt. The guy that was corrupt actually became a marshal, and maybe later a judge. I don't know. He was planning to be a judge. I don't know if he made it. So you see, the people that run these criminal enterprises, narcotics distribution, sex trafficking, affiliated with law enforcement, you come in a community, and if they're told that you're not part of it, then they go after you. Right. So I believe Rich Snyder was done also. But information had come out that this corruption existed, without the PSYOP part of it. Now, the weird part is Russell Wantz, the detective, I believe he did me and didn't investigate my ex-wife. I had concerns whether she was using street drugs around my kids. She seemed too high. I mean, she had pretty strong prescription drugs. Correct, sir. So I don't believe he investigated her. And he just burned the money up. He was asking for more money. Then he yelled at me. So a typical deep state. So the weird part is Russell Wantz is the one that investigated the stuff about Jonathan Luna. What do they call that thing? Yardbird site. So he's like my enemy, but then all of a sudden, right? Because maybe they tried to kill him. Right? Deep State may have tried to take him out, and I think there's evidence that they did. So he went in another direction. Right? No, it's like if I wasn't around that mess, if I went to a normal office, right? I mean, it would have took them. My life would have been so sure by the time they would have operated me. Because this is the way it worked. It went from like Virginia, Maryland, D.C. out to the rest of the nation. And the rest of the nation it was easier for them to fight it because there was less people. But I mean, it got real weird in Espanol. I had to get out of the spells, and the curses were picking up. I cooked a hot dog in the middle of the night, and I wake up, it's on fire. I'm like, oh, they get me. I think I was being drugged also. I believe that Sheriff Rodella was drugged, and also the fire chief who showed up at work with his flak vest and his AR. He was the Native American fire chief, a real fire chief. Right. They did him. So I tried to get to, like I said, I tried to get to a home church while I was, I don't know if I was still in the Marshal Service or I had just, left the Marshal Service. So I tried to get to a home church, and they were my home church. I mean, it's just crazy that you're allowed to do these things. Right. And some people, they know the system exists. They may have known since they were kids, because part of criminal enterprise, really. And they're just like, they just can't. They're chomping at the bit to do me, because that means they're going to get in. Right. But again, I'm seeing signs that the Trump administration is trying to message me with just keywords and stuff to say that they know I exist. I don't know if that's real. Because you don't know, anything online could be a digital tunnel. Like you, the only person that sees it. Right. But if it is that, it'll be hell to pay for everyone. Again, this idea where I'm going to attack the Trump administration is not going to exist. Again, that investigation ran a course. All that effort ran a course. Right. Like I was telling you, Trump wasn't going to go. I was in control of it. Trump wouldn't have went to jail. Right. Get me my money. I'm like, Elon can even send me money. Even Cash owes me money. Cash owes me cash. All right. Yep, yeah, he actually owes me money. CIA actually, as agencies, they owe me money. Damages and effort. Right. Oh my God. Thank you much. I'm actually an informant to a certain degree. I mean, actually, it's like I call it. I'm an investigator, and I send them leads. I wouldn't say I'm an informant. I'm not at that level, right? I don't do as much now, right? Again, I even taught them pretty much if they could hear my stuff to how to psychically investigate. Only because I ended up in that shitty freaking office. Right. Well, because the rest of the nation, it took longer to fall. So my career would have been further along. And I would have been in a normal office doing normal things. Right. Right. And they wouldn't work me harder than everyone else. Like people in my office do nothing. And like I said, I saw Karen Shelton stand in front of Chief Donovan and tell him that she would not investigate the judicial security investigation, even though that was her additional duty. Right. And she's screaming. And she walks down the hallway screaming that she's going to make her phone calls. And heads will roll if you make her do the investigation. Chief Donovan looks at me. He says, "Can you do it?" I said, "Sure." I mean, she should have been out of the Marshal Service right then and there. Correct. Or forced to retire if she could retire. Actually, she should have retired on both of those people. Before they affected my life, both of those people should have been forced to retire on psychological. Actually, all three of them, including Chief Quick. Now, she was in a shooting. That was her claim to fame. Like in the Marshal Service, if you have to shoot somebody on duty, then you're instantly famous. Unless you're somebody they don't like Arthur Lloyd. Right. Like if Arthur Lloyd was deep state, they'd have made him a hero off of that instead of putting him in jail. But what happened, like in the end, they started, I guess because they know I was being done, right? More so than I did. People would come up to me and start telling me about things. And one of the things somebody told me was they heard, and I told them I didn't want any more information. I'm not here to receive private information about, my coworkers. Right. That's generally how I am. Right. And they came up to me and they said, I heard something about that shooting. Like there's something to it, some corruption. Like it wasn't a good shoot. But I don't. Or that something she did triggered it. If she wasn't careless, it never would have happened. So there was information around that shooting to say that there was something wrong with her. And there is something wrong with her. Her and her little girl, lesbian friend, was stalking me. Right. What I believe happened, this is the weird part. When Rick Henry and Karen Shelton had that internal affairs investigation because they went at each other, when it ended in an alliance between the two of them with Chief Quick. And that alliance may have been beginning before the internal, where because Rick Henry, if it looks like Chief Quick's going to be powerful, he's going to try to get some sort of inroad. And that's when God said, "Get out of here." They both attacked me. As soon as the internal affairs thing went, no further action. They both attacked me. Yeah, it wasn't safe to be there for me or the public. I'll hesitate pulling out my gun, something like that, and could cause somebody to be injured. Because I'd have to think, well, how are they going to treat me? Again, I told you already during 9/11. That was a few years later, right? Already during 9/11, I was being followed by this vehicle. It was a deep state setup, probably CIA organized. Right. Criminal enterprise is part of CIA. Right. And I was being stalked by this vehicle and road raged. I wasn't in a Crown Vic, and they had actually switched me out of the Crown Vic a few days earlier. So you see, it was set up. Right. So I was in a red Volkswagen Beetle, but I did roll my window down because I was on my way to BWI Airport to pull, investigative and security duty because 9/11 had just happened. Right. So I take my marshal's badge star and I hold it out the window. Okay, just so you know, I'm going to clear this up. I don't have my badge. The last time I remember it is, remember when I told you I got drugged? Right. That it disappeared during that event. Now, I think I had rented a vehicle at that point. Right. I was in York County, and somehow my vehicle got damaged. Right. And I think my badge was in my vehicle. And maybe my creds, I don't even remember. I was being drugged. They were following me and actively drugging me. And they couldn't take me out until I got to that one place. Again, I have physical and other disabilities because of what they did. Right. So there's a disability along with this evolving. Right. So I know I don't have it, and I haven't had it in years. Thank you much. You may have it. I mean, a cop may have went, or a deputy, or somebody may have went to my vehicle and found it. Right. Credentials look nothing like I looked like, and still probably don't look like it. I was actually real heavy when I took the credentials. I look like Bob Levinson in my credentials, which is funny, but that shows you something, a connection, right? Psychically. So when Bob Levin shows up, and I notice that, it means something, right? Or it didn't show up again. That's why I kept going, because they kept drugging me. So again, that may be happening actually in this last few places that, like right now, I'm more lucid. But I've been in here a long time, and they haven't had an opportunity to get in as much. And again, if it changes the administration, they're going to maybe have to pay off additional people before they get access again. Right? There's no way that I should have felt comfortable enough to get rid of my trailer. What I should have done is got rid of the trailer and bought a camper. But meanwhile, I'm trying to get financially sound. And see, that's one of the issues. I didn't have the money to actually survive and keep them at bay. And they made sure of that. I mean, I couldn't even drive an Uber with what they do. Right. I just make complaints, and then you have something in your file. Like the cops will be in on it, And somehow they'll get wind that there's this complaint. Oh, see, that matches our case. But it's all role players. Right. Thank you, Larry. This is the thing that you need to investigate, all of you. It's very difficult because any team of investigators you have might have one or two of these people on there. But again, if you say 10 people that investigated Trump should be fired, you got good people and bad people. You didn't do any investigation. Again, the court's going to find that there's no reason for you to do that other than retaliation. I mean, maybe not, but that's what I believe. I mean, some of those agents and attorneys are setting you up. They're not fighting it that hard because they know they're going to get paid. They're probably some of them already are in a system that told them they're going to get paid. Just wait, and you'll get paid from the case. I mean, just really, if they just let me live my life, it would have been just a nice life. And again, finding a woman. By the time I got to living in Naples, I'd already been damaged in reference to relationship with women. Because it was like, again, it went sour with my wife, but then they just continued that theme with their role players and harassing Angie. Right. So the goal is so that I never get with a woman, because that's not part of the scam that they're trying to portray. Reduce this to notes and hand it out in triplicate. It's something from the old days, because you used to use, used to copy it. And now everything's digital. You used to have to turn things in triplicate, or something like that. I mean, I still remember doing how the effort that I put into my federal application and everything. Like, I never had great pride in being a deputy U.S. Marshal. I mean, it fit with my life, being a sapper leader, U.S. Army combat engineer, combat veteran. Right. So, it just was the next step, you know what I mean? And whatever it was, just next step in life, right? To do good things, do well things, to perform. I mean, I was a guy that always made my supervisors look good. Right? There was no reason that I wasn't protected. I mean, they had to know what was going on. Actually, I saw my supervisor after he left, and the new supervisor came in, and he looked at me, and it was just the strangest. Like, I saw Menardo, and I was just like, he was with somebody, and it was just the strangest interaction. I have no idea how much he knew. Because he had gone off to an assistant chief position. Like, see, if they hadn't killed me, would have got somewhere, because I just did so much work for so many people. I mean, really, not just the deputy work, like just the next level of work. Like, nobody does that for another person, right? That level of work. Or even the marshal. Like I said, in my office, people could sit around all day because they had been, I didn't know, they had been deep state. So again, they probably killed Doug Bettman, or Doug Bettman's career. And they all, were in, and may have done someone else. I don't know. Like, they get called, in other words, they just leave and then they come back. Like, they don't do anything all day. They come in the morning, may even might go to one courtroom or something, and might not. And then they're gone all day. And then sometimes you don't see them, but sometimes you see them at the end of the day. So what are they doing? Deep state. Again, I highlighted where Daniel Marks said that about the FBI. Like, these guys don't work, and they don't come to our, they're supposed to come and work our details, our investigations, and they're not showing up because they don't do anything. They just do details. So I'm working the load of, extra people. Like, these are the people that are supposed to do these big jobs because they're senior deputies. They're getting paid for that. Right. But they sit at their desk and go to the gym for an hour and a half, 2 hours a day. Maybe go to a courtroom during the day. But they want you to do the work, the extra work, but they want you to fail. So the worst thing I did was I did the extra load that they gave me and even volunteered for a little bit. And they came against me and tried to, deplete me. They were trying to deplete me. But they get real mad because Like a judge writes great things about me, and they get mad at it. They shouldn't be allowed to. It's not like it's going to get me. I mean, obviously, it didn't get me anywhere, right? I was looking at him like it's going to get me somewhere. I don't even have a life. And I was still asleep and knew that. Well, they're looking at everything in my box. We used to have these boxes, right? So the judge writes a letter to the marshal, and a copy of it's in my box. So they go and they see my box. They maybe even photocopied it, and you go, oh, the judge said this about him. Like I'm going to be a supervisor any day soon. I didn't even take the test. And when I did take the test, the Marshal Service never gave me the results. Again, it's spycraft. To a certain point, I said, I'm going to take the test to see what it is. Because why did I take the test? Because Shelton and Henry had an internal affairs investigation, and they were forced to stop. They were afraid to deep state me. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't even have taken the test. Correct. So I found a way out for everyone. When I left the Marshal Service, I found a way out for everyone. Correct. And they killed it. They killed it before I even officially retired.